It's Thursday, October 6th. In the headlines, plans to increase direct flights to Jamaica. New Bail Act now before Parliament. Regionally, in Barbados, plans to access banking services easier. And in sports, New Zealand women versus West Indies women on the pitch. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The new Bail Act will permit bail at 3 stages: pre-charge, post-charge, and post-conviction in defined cases depending on the circumstances. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Marlene Malahou-Fort tabled the 48-page bill in Parliament on Wednesday afternoon.
The new Bail Act 2022 is set to be reviewed by a joint select committee prior to being debated in the House. Addressing the House on Wednesday, Minister Malahou-Fort explained certain aspects of the bill. She says Clause 7 lays out the circumstances in which bail may be denied.
Clause 7, and I do believe it will be of particular attention to persons as they read the bill. Clause 7.2 is a special provision in relation to defendants charged with the offense of murder, where self-defense does not arise, and where the murder is committed in circumstances amounting to capital murder, or where the offense is committed in a zozo, an area under state of emergency, or where a cordon has been established or a curfew imposed.
If the deciding official, such as the court, judge, justice of the peace, or constable is satisfied that the conviction of the defendant is likely, these circumstances may be treated as sufficient grounds for keeping the defendant in custody.
Witnesses are being threatened or even murdered. Many who provide credible intelligence to the police are often reluctant to proceed further to enable the police to convert that intelligence to evidence. Sometimes, Madam Speaker, witnesses and immediate victims are themselves part and parcel of the criminality, resulting in varying levels of investigative complexity. These and other documented peculiarities in our Jamaican society necessitate innovative responses, legislatively and otherwise.
Based on the variance of the case, the official will consider if the defendant is in the same household or community as the victim, whether there is a sense of peace or security among the household or community, if a firearm was used, and the defendant's mental state. The new Bail Act will repeal and replace the existing legislation.
Cybersecurity awareness continues to be important because the knowledge helps to safeguard all types of data against theft and loss. Head of Jamaica's Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, JCERT, Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Sterling, says the increased use of online learning have also highlighted other aspects of cybersecurity. He addressed the matter while speaking at a JIS think tank about the focus areas of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Sterling says there are 15 main threats that businesses should be aware of. These include malware.
We then have web-based attacks, and this is where persons use the internet to attack businesses and their internet-facing resources. We have phishing, which is a sort of social engineering that is designed to get persons to inadvertently enter their credentials into either emails or web platforms that are then used to further attacks.
He also notes that one of the major cybersecurity risks is spam.
And that is unsolicited email in large quantities that really tend to clog your network, and also is a form of precursor attack for phishing, business email compromise, and other forms of malware attacks.
The JCERT boss says one should be security conscious when using the internet.
When you seek in the physical space to secure your belongings, you try to do that with lock and key, with grills, and with hiding things. But in cyberspace, what you find is that persons will have 6, 7 accounts and they're using the same password across all the platforms. What it means is that if one becomes compromised, then they're all compromised. And so we often say to persons, do not do this. Use a different password for each platform, and if necessary, use a password manager. The challenge, though, is also the strength of the password. You'd be surprised to know many persons still use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 zeros. And also, we tend to not change the default passwords that we get with our home internet appliances. For example, the company comes and installs a router. The password is stuck on the back of it, and you just leave it at that. The person who installed the router knows it. The company from which you bought the router knows it. And so the ability to break into your system is so much easier.
And in the case of online usage by underage youth,
where parents and children and teachers are concerned, there are so many other platforms out there and applications that you can use to limit screen time, to limit content and access to monitor where your child's device is. And so when you look at how easily you can do these things and the fact that they're there and a lot of them are free and they're good quality free products, it really is easy to do. But you have to decide to be a responsible digital citizen, because if you're not, then everything becomes hard.
The Department of Correctional Services rehabilitation programs at the South Camp Road Center got a boost in its service this week. E-Learning Jamaica Company Limited has donated 63 laptops and 120 tablet computers in support of the rehabilitation of young detainees. Deputy Commissioner for the DCS's Rehabilitation and Probation Aftercare Services, Dr. Mark Thomas, said the donations will strengthen a critical aspect of the department's program.
We are steadfast, ladies and gentlemen, in preparing our children for the jobs of the future, and these devices will allow each child to truly be able to hone their skills that they'll be learning. Last but certainly not least, this donation will assist in our efforts to keep those family bonds strong through facilitating the virtual family visits I mentioned at the beginning.
4 projectors were also donated to the institution by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. Education and Youth Minister Favour Williams says she is encouraged by the DCS's programs.
In terms of the program that you have here, we see where it has more emphasis on rehabilitation than on continued punishment of our students and our girl students who are here. Yes, we understand that they have committed a wrong, they've run afoul of the law, they've broken a rule that society says should not be broken, and they are here. But we want them, when they leave this place, to be fully functioning men and women able to operate in our society and to take their rightful place.
Chief Executive Officer of E-Learning Jamaica, Andrew Lee, says the use of technology is increasing in education as it enhances the teaching and learning experience.
When technology is integrated into education appropriately, and I emphasize appropriately, students are likely to be more interested in the subjects they are studying. Technology provides opportunities to make learning more fun and enjoyable in terms of teaching the same things in new ways.
The devices will be used at the South Camp Road Center, as well as the Metcalf Street Secure Juvenile Remand Center and the Rio Cobre Juvenile Correctional Center. Jamaica is set to expand the number of flights coming into the country. This as, come February 2023, Frontier Airlines will begin non-stop seasonal flights from the United States cities of Denver, Colorado, St. Louis, Missouri, and Chicago, Illinois, to Sangster International Airport in St. James. The announcement was made by Senior Manager of International Sales at Frontier, William Evans, during a special ceremony held at Sangster International this week. Mr. Evans says flights from St. Louis start on February 23 and will be 3 times per week at an introductory cost of US $139. Flights from Denver, which begin on February 24, will be 3 times per week at an introductory cost of $149, and flights from Chicago beginning on February 25 will be once per week at a rate of $139. Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel effective Thursday, October 6. With both grades of gasoline up by 25 cents, 87 octane will sell for $193.41 per liter, while 90 octane will sell for $197.39 per liter. Automotive diesel fuel will sell for $220.51 per liter, and ultra-low sulfur diesel will sell for $227.50 per liter, up by 25 cents. Kerosene increased by $4.50 will sell for $217.93 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will sell for $60.43 per liter, down 25 cents, and butane liquid petroleum will sell for $68.02 per liter after an increase of 15 cents. Remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their own markups to these prices. The National Insurance Fund, NIF, saw a double-digit growth in the fiscal year ended March 2021. In an update provided by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, reports are that as at March 31, 2022, the net asset value of the fund was over $100 billion, representing year-over-year growth of 14.13%. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, October 5, the US dollar sold for an average of $153.60. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $112.77. The pound sterling traded for $169.56. And the euro sold for an average of $153.90. In GSE trading, the GSE index declined by 4,260 points. The junior market index declined by 22 points. The combined market index declined by 4,180 points. And the all Jamaican composite index declined by 4,899 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 109 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 56 declined, and 18 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, and Access Financial Services Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm were Cargo Handlers Limited, Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU Deferred Share, and Epley Limited 7.75% preference shares. The overall volume leaders were Spurtree Spices Jamaica Limited with over 6 million units, JMMB Group Limited, and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund posted over 60,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, 0 securities were traded. In regional business, Trinidad and Tobago will host the inaugural Caribbean Investment Forum (CIF) in November that is expected to attract hundreds of businesses and investors from across the world. The November 8 to November 11 event is expected to help build a smarter, greener Caribbean. In market data for oil prices held after OPEC agreed to tighten global crude supply with a deal to cut production targets by 2 million barrels per day, the largest reduction since 2020. Brent crude futures edged down 16 cents to $93.21 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude lost 14 cents to $87.62. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, travel service within the region is expected to improve with the signing of an agreement with the new Liat and Caribbean Tourism Group.
A new LIAT is on the way with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the government of Antigua and Barbuda and the CFA Global, a subsidiary of Caribbean Tourism Group, the CTG, a private regional company involved in investments in travel, tourism and aviation. Under the just signed memorandum, CTG T/A LIAT International will deploy a fleet of small, medium and large aircrafts, including Airbus A330, Airbus A320 and ATRs, in passenger service to the Caribbean and South America, along with international travel routes from Europe. The memorandum for a partnership agreement under the operation of the new Antigua-based LIAT International was signed in St. John's on Friday between Lennox Weston, Minister of Works and Finance of Antigua and Barbuda, and the chairman of CTG, Mr. Marshall. The MOU is in keeping with a commitment from the government of Antigua and Barbuda to ensure the restructuring and return of commercial service of regional airline LIAT 2020. Central to the plan is developing international routes that will bring tourists and business persons from Asia and other parts of the world to the Caribbean, using Antigua as a gateway. One of the proposed routes is from Frankfurt, Germany to Antigua, which could become a viable connection for visitors from China, now that a visa waiver agreement between China and Antigua is set to be signed. This visa waiver would mean that Chinese citizens do not need visas to travel to the Caribbean nation and can reach the region in the shortest time in transit through Frankfurt. On arrival in Antigua, the passengers will then have the options using LIAT 2020 or LIAT International routes to travel to various other Caribbean countries. CTG says this will help promote the economic development of Antigua and benefit the rest of the member states of the Caribbean community.
In Belize, since travel restrictions have been lifted, there has been an increase in tourist arrivals to the island. Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations Anthony Miller says that they are optimistic about the complete rebound of the industry and that there are active campaigns to signal that Belize is open to travelers.
Through the international airport, we are about 80–90% of where we were in 2019. The borders are still lagging a little bit behind, but remember, these things take time, and we still don't have the other bus coming into Belize through Mexico. And so we believe that by the high season of next year, January, February, March, we should be fully on track of where we were 2019.
This is with overnight tourists. Let's talk about cruise, because I think that is rebounding quicker, or has been rebounding quicker than overnight, right?
No, overnight has been doing well. Cruise as well, but again, we believe that by next year we should be back where we were 2019. We're telling the world that we exist, and there are still a lot of areas in this world that don't know about Belize. There are still places in Mexico that people don't know about Belize, South America, Africa, Asia, and so we're telling the world that Belize exists. We are a first-class destination in terms of our natural resources. We're improving our product on the ground, and we will continue to invite people to come to our shores.
In Barbados, regulations are being looked at to make access to banking services easier. That's the theme coming out of day one of the first ever global fintech conference in the Caribbean.
On the first day of the 2022 Fintech Islands Conference, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amor Motley, delivered the welcome address and posed the question of how technology can be leveraged to deal with some of the issues preventing persons from accessing banking services in the Caribbean, but particularly right here at home.
It's not just in the fintech area that persons have been debanked. It's in the area of gold. It's in the area of gold trading and pawnbrokers. It's in the area of the cannabis industry that we're trying to get off the ground, the medicinal cannabis industry. It's in the area of gambling. It's in the area of things, regrettably, that increase the possibility of crime rather than reduce it.
PM Motley says that her administration is keen to find solutions.
And my government is therefore looking at how we can put a regulatory framework in place to go beyond that which we gave as evidence in Congress, recognizing that the very people who we say are risky are placed more at risk because of a blanket banking and banning as a result of the international community.
She also revealed that government is in the advanced stages of the digital payments framework and other initiatives.
We have just approved a license for a digital bank that we expect to start operation within a few months. And we also have entities that are hoping to move from remittances to other types of digital payments, including, I believe, a replication of what Digicel and MasterCard has done in Jamaica and Haiti, what they may want to do here, but they're still at the stage of the regulatory framework with central bank.
In the Bahamas, addressing Parliament on Wednesday, Works and Utilities Minister Alfred Sayers says the Bahamas Power and Light is hanging off a cliff as he outlines the company's dire financial position and why power bills will be increasing next month.
BPL is on the precipice of financial fallout, Mr. Deputy, if we do not act immediately to align the fuel charge with current global prices.
On Monday, Prime Minister Philip Davis announced consumers will see an increase in their November power bills. Given the state of the power company's finances, Sayers says the move can no longer be delayed. He says the fuel hedging strategy implemented under the former administration was no longer an option.
Within the last 12 months, fuel costs have increased globally at an astounding rate due to the global economic and political shocks. In fact, the fuel used to generate electricity now, which is the diesel, the majority fuel being used by BPL today, has increased within this past year by 100%.
In international news, UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has pledged to ride out the turmoil unleashed by her tax-cutting agenda, saying that the disruption will pay off in a wealthier, more efficient Britain. Truss on Wednesday closed a tumultuous Conservative Party conference in the central English city of Birmingham with a speech intended to revive the spirits of delegates, saying she's ready to make the hard choices.
The Prime Minister. This has been a conference to forget for Liz Truss's Conservative Party. It began with a U-turn on giving a tax break to Britain's richest and ended in a speech on disruption that was itself disrupted. Bringing it all to a close, the Prime Minister saying she is still ready to make hard choices and do what it takes.
As the last few weeks have shown, it will be difficult. Whenever there's change, there is disruption. And not everybody will be in favour of change, but everyone will benefit from the result.
Truss created a new enemy, which she called the Anti-Growth Coalition, and which basically includes anyone who might oppose or protest against her economic policies. 10 days before conference started, her government announced massive tax cuts paid for by massive borrowing. As if on cue, a pair of climate protesters from Greenpeace noisily interrupted her before being ejected from the hall.
We're the only party.
And after just 34 minutes, the finale.
Together, we can unleash the full potential of our great country. That is how we will build a new Britain for a new era.
After 4 days of extraordinary tension and party dissent, there was an almost tangible sense of relief that it was finally over. Senior Conservatives accept that this conference has been something of an ordeal, but Truss has at least survived it.
Like she said, people always underestimate her, and they shouldn't. Sorry, I've got to go, guys. Nice to see you.
Well, look, I mean, there are obviously always going to be discussions within governments. There always are, right? Every party has got a standing coalition of different interests. What you hope is that people have those discussions in private, then have a unified line, and unity is the key to electoral success.
It's been a torrid party conference for Prime Minister Liz Truss. Her response has been to try to normalise the turmoil, to portray the disruption as a natural, perhaps even a necessary consequence of the change that she says Britain so badly needs. It is too early to judge whether Liz Truss has done enough to regain her authority and restore her credibility. The opinion polls still look bleak for the Conservatives. But in the words of one departing delegate, it wasn't a disaster.
In sports, New Zealand women defeated West Indies women via the Super Over in the 4th T20 International of the 5-match series at the Vivian Richards Cricket Ground on Wednesday. Scores were New Zealand women 111 for 4 of 20 overs, with Amelia Kerr top scoring with an unbeaten 49 from 47 deliveries with 3 fours, and leg spinner Afi Fletcher produced an outstanding 4-over spell, claiming 2 for 16. Windies women had 111 for 9 of 20 overs. Team member Shedian Nation, batting at number 7, top scored with 23 from 28 deliveries. In Guyana, the 9th edition of the Petra-organized Courts Pee Wee Football Tournament will kick off on Saturday, October 8, at the Ministry of Education ground, Carifesta Avenue. And both organizers and sponsor want the under-11 lads to have fun and build friendships. Here's more in this report from Newsroom Guyana's Akeem Green.
We at Petra and Courts Guyana Inc. will be using this tournament as a platform for you to come together on the Saturdays and enjoy some good football, some camaraderie among your teammates and students from other schools. So I can assure you that the teachers and even some of you youngsters, during your time in the very near future, you're going to be linking and you're going to be meeting persons who would have passed through this program, who are now national players, who are now leaders in their teams, in their club teams, and leaders in their own rights.
It's a pleasure for Courts to be a part of the 9th annual tournament of the Pee Wee football competition. This year, Courts would have celebrated 29 years of business in Guyana. And activities as this, we would always support because it brings greater value to the community. As you know, our tagline is bringing value home. So via Petra, we are able to bring value into the schools.
The teams will be divided into 6 groups of 4, and the 2 top finishers from each section and the 4 best third-place teams will advance to the elimination round. The respective losers in the knockout section will progress to the plate division to battle for positions 5 to 16. The winner of the tournament will receive the championship trophy, gold medals, and a pair of uniforms. As an additional reward, Courts Guyana Inc. will reward each player of the winning team with an electronic tablet. On the other hand, the runners-up will receive a trophy, silver medals, and 6 balls. Meanwhile, the third-place finisher will take home a trophy and 4 balls, while the fourth-place finisher will walk away with a trophy. For the newsroom, Akeem Green.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Thanks so much for watching.